welcome to the Ocho Bowl draft preview for 2024. Once again, I'm your host and commissioner, CB, Beefmaster, Sweet Red Vermouth, whatever you want to call me. I don't really mind that much. We're just going to go over the Ocho Bowl rules and then a bit of a draft preview before the big event next week. So, most important thing, draft's the 2nd of September. That's Monday week. Don't forget it. Don't be late, or if you are going to be late, make sure you let us know so we can work around it. We're currently got the starting time at 7:30, so put your kids to bed early, give them some whiskey so they fall asleep. Whatever it takes, just don't keep everyone waiting. And now, the actual most important thing, we're going to go check out the emails. And we are at 0 for 0 for weeks with an email. So get your asses into gear. As you can see, right above me there is the email address, ochobowlmail@gmail.com. We take written ones, but we would prefer voicemails. And like our good friend Dwayne on the right says, you call, you get on. I would say we're the SEN of Australian Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube shows because we both do whatever Hutchie tells us to do. So, send us an email. I'm sick of hosting by myself. Once we do the draft, I'm going to start trying to get some guests on, so you can start pitching me why you should be a guest. Look, spoilers, Woodsy's probably going to be right up there because we know he brings the heat off the long run up, so we'll see how we go. But without further ado, let's get into the draft preview. So let's start with the boring stuff first. So I'll just go back over the rules just so everyone remembers what we're doing. So just start with the roster. One regular QB slot, 2 RBs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, and 1 super flex. Kicker and D, despite Woodsy and trying to push it out with his mate Keeney, and 6 bench spots. Scoring's all pretty standard, except we are 1 PPR, 4 points per touchdown for quarterbacks, and standard yards, and no tight end premium. Even though Keeney's gone, he still can't push for it. And the draft, as you mentioned, for Monday the 2nd, 13 days, so everyone better get prepared. If you need a different time, then make sure you let us know. And so with that, we'll move on to individual preview. So I thought it was a bit unfair that Brian doesn't really know any of us that well, so I prepared a quick dossier on everyone in the league so that we can get everyone up and get him up to scratch. So we're going to start in draft order. So with the number 1 pick is Mr. Meat and Potatoes himself, Woodsy. So last year, finished in 8th. He's been in the league 7 years now, or 6 years. And his best result was in 2020 when he lost to yours truly in the final, thanks to one Mike Evans that I got in a perfectly fair trade. And I've compared him to Josh Rochelle, because like in the showdown, he talked a lot of talk, but then when it comes to his actually playing, he doesn't back it up, which will probably date this episode, but I guess there's literally a date in the top corner, so what am I to do? With pick 2, we've got the ladies' man of the league, Reese. So last year he came 9th, and he's been in the league since 2016. So in 2021 he was the runner-up. And I've compared him, I've got 2 comparisons. So first is to John Mayer, because again, known ladies' man. And then the second one was to pulled pork, because just like pulled pork, he's got a shoulder that just falls apart. I think he's on his 3rd Rico on his shoulder by now, so don't hit him in the shoulder if you see him at the Super Bowl. With pick 3, we've got Cam, the most recent father in the league, I think. I know you guys keep knocking up ladies. Last year he came 5th, and he's been in the league since the start, and he won in 2021. And I've compared him to Chumbawamba, which I'm almost certain I've spelt wrong there. But I compared him to them because, like them, he's a one-hit wonder. He normally doesn't do anything except for that 1 year that he won the league. Pick 4, we've got Jared. He came second last year. He's been in the league for 10 years now. 12 if you count the leagues where he's playing someone else's team. He won it in 2022. I've compared him to Dirk Nowitzki just because he's a consistently good player, but he's only able to win one championship when he probably should have won more than that, and he's terrible at trash talk. With pick 5, we've got the reigning champion Ben. So he won last year, while shockingly, I think we can all agree on that, off the strength of his keepers, and then the one trade he made with me. I've also put that he won 2024, so let's hope that's not true. And I've compared him to Cuba, because like Cuba, there's just not a lot of trades happening with Ben. So we'll see if he changes his ways this year without any keepers, but I think you can assume probably not. With pick 6, we've got Fitzy, with some idiot who got a tattoo of him on the leg. Last year, he came 11th, and he's been since the start as well. His best results were 2021 and 2022, where he made the semi-finals after never making the finals previously. And I've compared him to the Matildas, because like the Matildas, he's normally shit, but then he's just come alive recently and then gone back to being shit. So we'll see if he continues like the Matildas or if he can make another finals run. In 7, we've got Brian. So we don't know anything about Brian, so I did ask Cam about him, and he sent me this sentence about what he knows about him from playing with him previously. Brian is a criminal mastermind in Gotham City. He has an obsessive compulsion to incorporate riddles and puzzles into his schemes to prove his intellectual superiority over league mates and the police. His real name is Edward Nigma. With self-conscious use of elaborate gimmick, Brian's crimes are often theatrical and ostentatious. Brian commonly wears a domino mask in either a green unitard decorated with question marks printed on it, or a green suit and bowler hat. A black and green or purple question mark serves as his visual motif. So, it doesn't really tell us much about his play style in fantasy football, but it's going to be a hectic year, I think, with Brian. Next, we've got yours truly. So last year I finished 7th. I've obviously been in it since the start, and I've won twice in 2015 and 2020. I've compared myself to John Howard, as I'm the leader. I normally win every 4 to 5 years, and I have a bowling technique very similar to him if anyone's gone to the nets with me. With pick 9, we've got Manny. Finished 10th last year. He's been in it since the start as well. And he's won, as he likes to tell you, 3 times in 13, 17 and 18. I've compared him to Richmond in that he had a dynasty and then that's now over and he's dog shit. Next we've got Havers. He finished last year. He's also been in it since the start. So he's made the semis 3 times but never made a final. I've compared him to Sam Draper, because people always talk about him like he's good, but then when you actually sit down and look at his results, he's also trash. I just really hate Sam Draper. I just think he's not good. Next we've got Simon. So Simon joined last year, finished 6th in his first year, which isn't too bad. And I compared him to Gene Parmesan from Arrested Development, for those who have watched it, because he's a master of disguise, because we all know he's really Jared just with a moustache. And then last pick, we've got Dale, who finished 3rd last year. Has also been it since the start, and his best result was 8 years ago now, where he was runner-up. And I've compared him to Chun Li because of his love of kicking, or kickers in this case. He did nearly get a Boris Yeltsin comparison because they're both missing a finger. So I hope that helped you, Brian. Don't send me any riddles. And with that, we're out for the week. We'll hopefully have a week 1 preview in 2 weeks with potentially a guest.